So Technics have just launched two new pairs of EAH true wireless earbuds, the very catchily titled AZ80s and the AZ60M2. Now I've been testing these for a couple of weeks ahead of the official launch. Don't have the full UK pricing just yet, but these are premium earbuds through and through, going head to head with the likes of the Sonys, the Boses. So here's my full Technics EAH AZ80 review, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So both the AZ80s and the AZ60M2s sport a very similar bullet style design, none of that drippy stem weirdness. And the first thing you'll notice about them is that they are rather ruddy chunky, jutting quite some way out of your lug holes, especially the AZ80s, which are a little bit larger just to accommodate the bigger drivers that are stuffed inside. They are a little bit heavier than your average true wireless earbud, but only by a couple of grams, nothing too cumbersome. And I did find they were quite comfortable to wear, even for extended periods, especially as you've got a choice of 7 different sizes of silicone ear tip bundled in both of the boxes. That's the same as the previous gen, so if you do find that you struggle to find true wireless earbuds that really truly properly fit your own ear shape, well, you're pretty much sorted with these bad boys. And just to prove that the fit is particularly good, let's do our mosh test. And these earbuds are certainly rugged. Both of them have gone scuttling off across concrete, as is the will of true wireless earbuds. Not a scratch or a nick on either of them, still working absolutely fine. They're IPX4 splash resistant as well, great news if you like to go outside occasionally here in Blighty. And they both come in a small selection of colours as well to suit your own personal preferences. So the app you'll be using with these earbuds is the Technics Audio Connect app. And as you can see, if you're pretty plush and a big Technics fan, this does allow you to keep track of several pairs of Technics earbuds. Usually I have no problem getting connected to my earbuds. As soon as you take them out the case and shove them in your lug holes, the app will pick up on them. I mean, sure, a couple of times I've had my earbuds connected to my smartphone, but when I've opened the app, it's still been like, what, where are these earbuds, huh? Like, hey guys, where are my sunglasses? Has anyone seen my sunglasses? Usually just a very short brain fart, lasted a few seconds though, and then they realise what's going on. And this is a beta version of the final app that will support these earbuds as well, so hopefully just a little bug that'll be ironed out before it goes on general release. As for the Technics Audio Connect app itself, well, perhaps not the nicest layout in the world, but it is feature packed and I do rather like it. The main page is fantastic, gives you fast access to all of the information and features that you will use on a regular basis, like how much battery power do I have remaining in the buds and the case. You can quickly tweak the noise cancelling on the fly, which you can also do via the earbuds. You can actually change up the exact level of noise cancelling you've got going on. You could also toggle the ANC completely off or jump into ambient sound where you can actually hear what is going on all around you. Quite handy if some inconsiderate person wants to interrupt your music listening session to, you know, have a conversation or something. You can also choose from a small number of audio presets as well, including the direct, which is the default. You've got bass plus and now super bass plus for all you bass fans out there. Like the treble plus, dynamic, which is my favorite, and then the custom mode, which is basically an equalizer you can fine tune that audio output with. Of course, some wireless earbuds these days, they can actually test out your hearing and then create an audio output based on your personalized sound profile. In my case, the absolute lack of ability to hear anything in the higher range. Good old raves in your teens, that's always a good idea. Sadly, you don't get anything like that here in the Technics Audio Connect app. You've also got a find headphones feature, pretty common these days, and adjust my voice test, which I'll be showing off later. And then last up, if we dive into settings, there's absolutely tons of other features packed away in here. Unfortunately, yeah, not very nicely laid out, just a whole bunch of text, no visuals of any description. Pretty dense overall. So for instance, you'll definitely want to jump into connected mode if your smartphone supports LDAC, because this option is actually disabled by default. That'll allow you to take full advantage of the best possible audio quality. Both the Technics AZ80s and the AZ60M2 support multi-points. You can connect to up to 3 different devices at once. Although if you are using LDAC for your streaming, then that does max out at 2 devices. You can't use 3. To be fair, personally, I find that 2 devices is plenty. That means I can connect to my smartphone and my laptop, job done. And the other big thing within the Technics app is the fact that you can customize the touch controls. So as you can see there, you can individually set up exactly what a single, double, triple tap and a touch and hold of each individual bud does. This right here is my own personal preferred setup, so a double tap of the left bud skips you back a track and the right bud skips you forward a track, but as you can see, you've got different options there. And I always like it when you're offered a choice of volume up and volume down with the touch controls. As for the touch and hold, you can either have that activating the voice assistant or switching the ambient modes. And speaking of the voice assistant, the Technics do have Alexa built in once again, or you can just use your smartphone's voice assistant alternatively. And I found I've got on really well with the touch controls here on both the Technics AZ80s and the AZ60 Mark IIs. Even the double taps and the triple taps, absolutely no issues whatsoever. Managed to nail it basically every single time, and you do get a bit of sound feedback as well when you are tapping. And yes, you do also have wear detection, so pluck a bud out and your music will be paused. So again, handy if somebody starts yammering on at you for whatever reason. Now when it comes to the active noise cancellation, the ANC, you can actually adjust this with a handy little slider in the app. So just go somewhere really noisy, play around with this until you find you get the best possible noise cancellation effect. And I found the ANC is pretty decent on, again, both the AZ80s and the AZ60 Mark IIs. I didn't notice any discernible difference between them. When you're merrily skipping your way down a busy high street, lots of people chatting, lots of traffic going by, buses, etc. It helps to dampen down all of that noise. You can just enjoy a podcast or an audiobook without having to jack the volume all the way up and bust your hearing. Not quite as good as the Sonys and the Boses of this world at putting you in your own lovely little peace bubble, though, just drowning out all of that crap going on all around you. And certainly if you're on the likes of the Northern Line, for instance, got a bit of London Tube action at its screechiest, then it's not going to really do too much to help you hear what is happening. However, I do enjoy how the Technics ambient mode offers two different options, transparent or attention. Attention is particularly good if you're listening out for an announcement on a train, for instance, something like that, as it just emphasizes any vocals. Now, one of the reasons that these Technics earbuds, particularly the AZ80s, are so freaking huge is the fact that they've actually got an ambient control chamber built in, which apparently optimizes the airflow. You've also got 10mm drivers here in the AZ80s, slightly reduced 8mm drivers in the AZ60 Mark IIs. That is the one big difference between these two pairs of Technics true wireless earbuds. Besides that, basically the same audio support. You've got support for your LDACs, of course, your high-res audio, all that good stuff. Now, I wouldn't exactly class myself as an audiophile, but I do like a bit of crispy detail in my tracks. I like to be able to hear all of the individual instruments, the different elements that a musician has chucked in there. I certainly found you got a little bit more of that with the AZ80s compared with the AZ60s, just a bit more full-bodied audio. If you are a fan of those lows, you'll probably love the new Super Bass Plus setting because that really emphasizes that end of the range. Personally, I prefer the dynamic setting because I found you got some decent bass still, but without sacrificing the rest of it. Those mids and those highs are still well emphasized, and yeah, just overall found it very enjoyable for rock music, metal music, and just more ambient stuff as well. Whereas in comparison with the bass modes active, everything just sounds a little bit flat. Now, one of the best bits of these Technics earbuds is the fact that if you make a lot of voice calls when you're on the move, they do a really good job of clearly picking up on your voice while drowning out all of the bollocks that's going on all around you. And that is courtesy of the fact you've got 4 mics on each bud, as well as a clever noise cancelling algorithm. And of course, I'm just recording this sample in my very quiet studio, not much of a test at all, but now I've got a speaker right next to my face, blaring out all kinds of city sounds, lots of very angry drivers by the sounds of it, honking horns, etc, etc. And as you can hear, the Technics AZ80s in this case very clearly picking up on my voice, despite that ridiculous noise. No real distortion or anything, very impressive. And last up, battery life, and again, there's no real difference between the EAH AZ80s and the AZ60M2s here. You can expect between around 5.5 to 7 hours of playback from a full charge of these buds, depending on which codecs you're using. If you have got the LDACs and everything on the go, it'll be sort of more like 5.5 hours, compared with if you're just using SPC, AAC, it'll be closer to the 7-hour range. So that's not bad at all, not the best out there by any means, but not an absolute disaster. It means that most journeys you are covered, it's just those long haul international flights they won't quite survive for, but then there's very few buds that can manage that. And these buds, even the AZ80s, aren't the fastest at recharging when you do bung them in the case, but you'll get around 2.5 full charges when you do chuck them in there. You can check on the case's battery life in the app. You've also got a handy little LED indicator which tells you roughly how much charge is remaining. Get a nice big red glow whenever it's running low. And then when the case needs recharging, you've got a choice of either Type-C, USB around back, otherwise it also supports Qi wireless charging. And no real difference in the cases. I do like the slightly more premium vibe here on the A680s because you've got this kind of, it's almost like a brushed metal finish even though they're both constructed from plastic. Looks really slick still though, and yeah, the AZ80s case, ever so slightly chunky, but both are nicely rounded and just slip really nicely into a pocket or a bag. So overall, I really enjoyed my time with the Technics AZ80s and the AZ60 Mark IIs. As I say, if you are an appreciator of that fine audio detail, you'll probably want to upgrade to the AZ80s, otherwise the AZ60s will do you fine. They basically have pretty much the same feature set. Yeah, if noise cancelling is a priority, you'll probably want to look at the likes of the Sonys and the Boses instead, and always bear in mind that there are true wireless earbuds out there that only cost around 100 quid here in the UK, the likes of the Soundcores, which again offer pretty solid ANC, some great audio output and everything, and a very similar set of features. So that's what I reckon anyway. It'd be great to hear what you think down in the comments below. Let us know what you're rocking in your own lug holes and if you're liking them. For more on the latest and greatest tech, please do plug subscribe, ding that notifications bell, and have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you!